Time to get serious with Mega March.
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Mega March. We are going through all of the Mega Man X designs from beginning to end and everything in between. My name is Coleman X, and as always, I'm joined with
Twitch from Reploid REVO.
Hey. Well, on today's armor, it's not my favorite. It's not my least favorite. You could say I'm a bit neutral about it.
Oh,
It's the neutral armor. I'm gonna start with I like it a lot more than I used to. Having a bit more exposure to it. But I know you like this one more than me, so I'm gonna let you take the reins right here.
Oh, why thank you, man. I really appreciate that. So the neutral armor is actually multiple armors in one. And the way that works is that in Mega Man X8, you can get one basic armor. You just get the whole kit and caboodle all at once from Dr. Light, which is really nice. Has very Ultimate Armor kind of vibes to it. And then, as you go to the other capsules, you will get more modules for this armor, which in turn change its color. So the neutral armor by default is this kind of gray and yellow color, which I actually kind of like as just a basic color for it. Which, I don't know, it's kind of cool. But just because this armor is equipped, if you don't have any of the other modules equipped, basically it doesn't do anything. It's quite literally neutral armor. You can actually put this armor on, and it doesn't do anything special until you have the other things equipped. So there's 4 red modules, and then there's 4 blue modules. The red one is the Icarus Armor, and the blue one is the Hermes Armor, which I find a little bit ironic. The red one is more power-oriented, and the blue one is more speed and damage avoidance oriented. But both of the namesakes that this armor has are, like, based on characters who are known for, like, their speed and like, flight. Like, Hermes is like the messenger of the gods, if I remember correctly, so he's like very fast. And Icarus, it was the guy who built the wax wings and flew too close to the sun, so not really sure what the meaning behind the name is there. So if anyone is a better expert in Greek mythology, clearly I don't know my stuff. If there's a deeper meaning going on here that I've somehow missed. Yeah. So basically the red one gives you a giant laser beam charge shot, which is cool at first until you realize that you can't move at all when using it. That's frustrating. But it also gives you a damaging jump a la X1, so like that headbutt from X1 is like now like weaponized, which is pretty sick. I actually kind of like that. I forget what the dash does, actually. I'm gonna have to go look this up in real time. I forget all of the abilities that this thing does. But it's important to note because they do make a big difference on gameplay. I know the Hermes Armor lets you go invisible while dashing, which is really cool. I know that's an ability that was then used in Mega Man Zero, or was used previously in Mega Man Zero. And also, I believe the Hermes Armor lets you shrug off weak attacks, so enemies can hit you and you just don't take damage. Like, if it's like a little tiny metal shot, it just plinks off of you. Which is, like, really cool. I don't know, that's just really, really awesome. Okay, so the body parts for Icarus takes the damage and cuts it in half and removes all recoil. Basically, you don't get knocked back from anything. And also, any health that X loses becomes red health, which in Mega Man X8 can be healed over time if you switch out partners. Kind of like in a Street Fighter, if you have like red health, that's showing you how much health you're losing after you've been hit, but like some games let you heal that stuff back. You know, stuff like that. So that's kind of neat that he can bounce back from things like that. As I said, the Buster shot is like a giant laser beam, which is kind of cool. The foot parts double the height of X's jump, which is really cool. You can jump as high as Zero's double jump, but there's no double jump. It's one thing. And as I said, the head parts allow you to do the super headbutt thingy, which is like pretty freaking sick. You know what I mean? Let's go take a look at the Hermes Armor. The body part for the Hermes Armor enables invincibility to attacks that damage 2 HP or less. So very small, weak attacks are literally shrugged off. The Buster part lets you charge up extra fast, I believe. But you also shoot 3 charge shots at once in like a Sting Chameleon style.
I like that one a lot.
One goes straight and the other 2 split off, which is really cool. The foot parts also double your running and dash speed and makes you invincible or invisible, I should say, when dashing through stuff. So you become intangible to enemies while doing that. And that's just super cool. That's like a really neat thing. And so the ingenious part of all this is that if you like one part of the Hermes Armor but not the Icarus Armor or something, you can mix and match which parts that you use, which is a really ingenious idea. It's kind of like having the best of both worlds. In previous games, instead of mixing and matching what armor you get, because you can't do that, it's either all or nothing, this game is like, well, we're going to give you 2 different armors like you had in X5 and X6, but we're going to let you pick the parts that you like the most and equip them. And I just think that's super cool, and that's a really ingenious idea, and I think that more than makes up for X's cone of shame that he has around his face.
It also really got away from the having to have all the pieces of the armor problem, because you just need one and it gives you the full set, and then you can just add on to it. Like, I love that. You know, that's the what I'm gonna call the Gaia armor problem. You know, it gets rid of that completely, and I love that.
And another cool thing is that if you equip a full set of armor, like all Icarus and all Hermes, the armor does something neat and it lights up and gets all these cool like thingies all over it. The shoulders get like an X lit up inside of them. The arms get this cool, it looks like little turbines. Even the legs get that. Everything just kind of lights up and becomes more bright and powerful, which is a super neat detail. And I really like that. I think we talked about this once in a previous episode, about like what I would do for X9 and how I would maybe consider giving it like, you can allocate different points to the armor and open up different vents or flaps or things like that on the armor to indicate how powerful it is. I got that mostly as inspiration from this, because I just think that's such a cool idea. But anyway, I'm sorry. I feel like I've talked so much about what this armor does and not so much about what it looks like. I should probably get back to the focus of what this Mega March is all about. So, yeah, the first thing that you'll notice, the most prominent feature, is that a lot of X's face is covered by this round collar-looking thing. Now, a lot of people call this, like, the cone of shame, but what it's actually supposed to be imitating is almost like a ninja. In fact, there's a cut enemy in X8, which never got used, but they have the exact same kind of collar that kind of wraps around their face this way. This is very much supposed to be like a sleek and speedy-looking kind of X. And even as indicated in some of this concept art, he has thrusters on that collar so that when he lays down in a dash position, those thrusters are pointing at his back, which will then propel him forward from the chest as opposed to just his feet. And I just think that's a really nice detail. I think that's a pretty cool idea. And yeah, I don't know, this is just a really neat looking armor. The helmet is simple but effective. I like the dual ridges that go from the forehead towards the back. Reminds me a bit of the first armor. I think it's really neat. I like the collar. I know a lot of people make fun of it, but I think it's actually a very cool feature that he kind of has this like face shield looking thing coming out of his chest. And I like that it functions as a thruster. I think that's really cool. And I also like the long cylindrical parts that are coming off of the elbows and knees. And even though it's not exactly mirrored, I like the length of the buster. I think it's cool that it's this like long, like nozzle kind of buster. It's an irregular shape that isn't really used much, but having the really long buster barrel on the end of it, I think is a very cool idea. So yeah, I don't know. I really like that. I think that's just neat. It's just cool. He looks very sleek, very, very, very fast.
I like how the little ankle joints are just complete mirrors of the ears, and it's got the X motif in it, and we've talked about how much I love that part. It just looks really cool. And he's got like big dumb shoulder circles, and they look great. And the underwear looks armored. It's cool.
And it looks armored, and it doesn't look like it hinders his mobility either, because the armor parts are actually quite small, and the gray parts on that underwear bit look like they're flexible, like joint connectors, things that connect the leg to the underpants or whatever. And so it looks like he's very mobile, and that's just excellent. This armor looks very mobile. It looks very sleek. It doesn't look super heavy, and I think that reflects the slimmed down nature of all the characters in X8. So that just kind of works for me. The whole thing just does it for me, you know. It's not as flashy as other armors, but it's not supposed to be. This isn't supposed to be like a big bombastic armor. This is supposed to be a mobility and sleekness based armor, and I think they pull it off quite well.
I like how with the Hermes and the Icarus armors, how the gold gem-looking parts and even the fins also change color. It's pretty neat. Like, even with so much red or blue, there's not too much color on the armor. Like, it's still mostly a white, gray, and the inner parts are always the same. It's really interesting how they designed that.
Yeah, they made a nice color balance. The armored parts are white, and the, I guess, energy parts are the colored ones. And it's interesting to see that once you have all of the armor parts equipped, which parts of the armor light up. Another thing, which is not a detail you can really see very clearly unless you're in like specific cutscenes, and actually really is only visible because of the Legacy Collection, which is not... You wouldn't be able to see this on a CRT, and I don't think I was even able to see it. But in certain cutscenes, if you have the armor on and it gets just close enough to X, you can actually see that those light-up parts on the legs and on the forearms, those are actually transparent, and there is like a little bit of a shape that's underneath them. And I think that's super cool. It kind of calls back to like the transparent armors, like for the Ultimate Armor and other things like that, which, you know, we'll be getting to at some point. But I just think that's cool that they finally put a properly transparent armor in the game that has like those neat glass-like armors on him. So that's just all the more cool details that we probably can't show you here in these images just because it's so subtle. But if you have the Mega Man X Legacy Collection Volume 2, go get the armor and go play some of the stages and get up to a boss and wait for the camera to swing around and get close to X and take a look at what it looks like. You can actually see that the light-up parts are actually transparent, and there's like stuff underneath it, which is cool.
Yeah, I just noticed that the big dumb shoulders, when you have a full set of armor, it lights up an X inside.
Yeah, exactly.
And I love it. He finally can just show who he is without saying it. He wears his name on his sleeve.
He really does. I mean, if Zero can have a big dumb Z on his shoulder, why can't X have one on each of his?
Exactly.
I think it's fair. Finally came full circle. X has... I mean, let's take a look at this armor in full, actually, because X in his normal X8 form, I believe, has them in his ear, and I think that's it. Yeah. But this one has an X in his ear, an X on his shoulders, and an X on his ankles, which is just so much X on him. But it's cool.
He's bad boy. He's XXX.
Oh man, he is a bad boy. He's not getting into Smash.
It's cool too because, it can just be a neat shape without being a name signifier. Like a Z is a Z, no matter how you look at it. But
right,
an X is like
it's like lines, a geometric shape. You know. So.
Like, it's got something going instead of just being a vanity thing. It'd just also be like, oh, I've got 2 sets of lights in there. That's it.
I think about the only thing I don't really like on this armor is on the chest beneath the collar and also on his feet. he's got these like curved black lines. I don't really know what the point of those is. I don't really like them too much. I almost wish those were swapped out for straight lines, or if they were swapped out for some sort of like jagged, angular lines. You know what I mean? Something more interesting. They're kind of cool because they're like soft and curved, and I guess it gives like a more organic fastness kind of feel. But I think this armor could benefit from something that looks a little bit more techy and less organic, you know?
Yeah. I think it was probably just to see depth. Because like you said, on the original release, you know, like playing it in 2004, seeing a lot of detail was very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So it might just be to, like, since the chest is so plain without the lines, just to be like, here's how far it goes out. It curves around and then tucks under.
Right.
That's my guess. And same on the feet, just to kind of more easily show how wide and how long they are.
I suppose. I just wish, like, and it's not that I don't like the lines, I just wish they weren't curved, and I wish that they had, like, a more angular shape to them. That's the only thing. Other than that, I really like this. I think it's super cool. I almost wish that they were kind of like a continuation of the lines that you see on X's abdomen, which they sort of look like they are, but they're like weirdly thick at the bottom, and they connect to the thin lines that are on his chest. And I actually just like that he has those lines going down his abdomen, and then they split off and go down his thigh. I think that's cool.
And they're on the forearms too, or not the forearms.
Oh yeah, exactly. So I almost wish that if those lines on the armor were going to be there, I almost wish that they matched the thickness, just so that I could be like, oh, I see, it's like continuing that motif up and down his body.
I guess the thick ones kind of match on the helmet, on the outside of the gold crest.
Right.
I could see where they're coming from, but yeah, I agree that it would probably look better as the same thickness.
Yeah, just a little something. I mean, again, I have very small complaints about this armor. I really don't have anything super negative to say about it. I don't know. I just think a lot of people can't get over the fact that he has the little cone around his face, and I get it. They think that, like, oh, haha, it's like a dog cone when you take him to the vet or something, and like I get it. But I don't know. I don't really think it's all that bad. I think if you look at it from a functional standpoint, it actually is pretty cool. And I always took it as like a face guard. You know, I mean, if you look at this image of X here, you know, it's just his bust. You can see like all that's exposed is the one eye. It kind of makes him look a little bit formidable without being like threatening. He looks kind of like a ninja. I think if instead of thrust coming out of that. Those things on the back, which, you know, there should be thrust. I think there's like an emitter. If you look on the concept art, there's like two triangular shaped ones, and then there's like a flat square one. I would have made that flat square have like the energy scarf from Command Mission, and I think that would send this armor over the top. Could you imagine it?
That'd be pretty neat.
Ooh, I'm gonna have to do an edit of that. Put it in right here. I think giving this armor an energy scarf a la Command Mission would alleviate a lot of people's issue with this armor and make it way cooler. Like, again, if you look at the concept art, the thrusters are activated on that picture of the neutral armor to show you, like, hey, when he dashes, it comes out of this thing. Which, yeah, it does kind of look like a scarf, but I think having one that's always active when he's running or something, or is just always hanging there, would have gone a long way to make it look way cooler. Not to mention, this is the first game that has, like, well, I guess X7 had it, but it's one of the first Mega Man X games that has, like, fabric physics, or hair physics, so that would have been a perfect place to put something like that.
Yeah, I think it would be really cool to have something kind of trailing behind him, because that's one thing that makes Zero visually interesting, is that there's just something flowing, and flow always looks good in animation.
Right.
So something like that would be really cool. Like, even if it wasn't a scarf, just something back there, I could see working really well. But I know you said you liked the Buster, but that's probably my biggest complaint with it.
Mhm.
It's just a little bit too long, but I get it. It doesn't bother me, but that's probably something I would change. But it does look unique.
Here's what I would do to try to fix that. I would make 2 different busters, and depending on if you're using the Icarus buster or the Hermes buster, I would make it change. So for the Icarus buster, I think that long tube makes sense because you shoot like this big, long, concentrated laser beam. For the Hermes armor, I would instead maybe make the buster be more open, almost like you know how the end of the X3 buster is kind of slanted. I would maybe just make it a nice short-barreled buster, but have it be slanted a little bit, like that, to indicate the spread that it has when you shoot it. And I think that might make it look pretty neat. But that's just me. That's what I would do to try to get the best of both worlds. Maybe have some sort of opening on the top and bottom of the barrel, as if to indicate, like, when you shoot, the main shot goes out the middle, and like the excess energy like kind of sprays out these 2 extra holes on the top and bottom. You know, something to indicate that it has like a spread shot. And I think that would make, you know, both sides happy.
Yeah, we're getting into blade armor territory, where it's just one buster that kind of morphs to change the forms. And that was a good idea, you know.
Yeah, like I said, transforming armor geometry based on what you are doing at the time, I think is really cool. Like I don't know, man. I just think the scarf would do really well. It looks good in motion. We'd get to see it follow behind you as you do like all this complex platforming and stuff like that. And I think the thrusters coming out of the chest when you dash is a really cool idea. But it doesn't sell the idea of a scarf. So I do think something needs to be there. You know, something else needs to be there when you're moving around. But that's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Other than that, I think, you know, it's a pretty solid armor. It's not the best, but it's also not the worst, and I think it deserves more credit, because people aren't looking at it like a ninja. They're just looking at it like, I don't know, which I understand. It doesn't come off as strong as the Shadow Armor, which is just slapping you in the face with the fact that it's a sneak 'em up. Sorry, I love that word.
I'm very happy with it.
So, I don't know. I think if they played up the scarf aspect, make X look like a shinobi of some kind, then I think it would really, really look cool. But that's just me. That's what I would do with it. Yeah. There's also one other variation of this armor. Now, normally we would save this for our later episode that we're going to be doing, covering armors of this type, but I figured we may as well get it out of the way, if that's alright with you, Coleman.
Absolutely. It's just a recolor.
Yep. So, X8 has an ultimate armor. Unfortunately, it's not a unique ultimate armor, nor is it a callback to like any of the previous ones. This is basically just a purple recolor of the existing armors, and depending on if you're looking at the in-game version of it or the concept art version of it, you'll see that it actually has different colors to it. Basically, the concept art one is close to the final, but it's more pink and purple in design, whereas the one that's in the game is closer to what we would expect out of the X4 Ultimate Armor, where it's basically just purple and black. Like, just outright purple and black. I have to say, I do like the in-game version better, so I'm glad that's what they went with. The only thing I would change is, instead of making the feet so dark, I would have maybe made the feet purple and given those black lines on the armor, like, you know, the ones that are on the chest and on the feet, I would have made all those black lines yellow, just to make them stick out a little more. But other than that, it looks really cool. It's just a purple version of the neutral armor. The thing that the ultimate armor does is it gives you the best abilities from both armors. Now, I know best is subjective, but it does give you, like, some of the abilities that you normally wouldn't be able to get together. Like, I believe you get the really quick charging charge shot from the Hermes armor, but it also comes with a unique charge shot, which is the plasma shot from X4. It's like a really, really, really big charge shot that leaves behind little plasma energy balls. So that's cool that they brought that back. It can do a Nova Strike, which is cool. You literally get to do the old-fashioned Nova Strike. And it comes with an ability that no other Ultimate Armor has. You can perform a Shoryuken!
Yes, I was hoping you'd mention it.
So, that's really cool. Basically, if you sit still, hold up, and then hit triangle, X will literally go Shoryuken! And he does like a little spinning upward Shoryuken. It's pretty strong. It's not like one-hit kill strong like it was in X2. But it's cool that he has it. My only complaint is that it basically goes straight up instead of, like, forward and up. So it's difficult to land hits on it. And weirdly, there's unused voice lines for X where he shouts Hadoken, but there is no Hadoken in Mega Man X8.
Shoryuken, Hadouken!
So I'm not sure what that was for. And even Alia has it. I'll give you the files for this if you want to put these in so the fine people at home can hear it.
Shoryuken, Hadouken!
But
yes.
there's unused voice clips for X saying Hadoken and Alia saying Hadoken. But neither of them can use a Hadoken in X8. And also, Alia says Shoryuken in her voice lines, but she doesn't have an Ultimate Armor and she can't perform a Shoryuken. So I don't know what's going on there, but it's neat.
Yeah, it must have changed early on.
Yeah, they might have just had plans for it and then reneged on them or something. But it's cool that that exists. It's nice to know that it's there.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, this is by far the best looking version of this armor. Like, I love that the inner part changes, so instead of being that light bluish color, it's like this really dark purple.
Mm-hmm.
And just the purple glowing and the gold accents and the almost black. It's beautiful. I adore this look.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a good recolor of these besides the red and blue. And I also think it's ironic, I didn't even think of this, that if you combine red and blue, you get purple.
Whoa! You do.
I didn't even realize that until just now.
Oh man, you did it, Capcom.
Giving a clapcom for Capcom.
Capcom. Yeah, they're good.
Trademarked. Oh goodness, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
But no, this color scheme looks so good. Like all of the secret armors on X8 look fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've already gushed in the past about how much better the black armor looks for Zero than in the PlayStation 1 games.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you know, those extra bits of silver. It adds so much.
Yeah, definitely. I also like White Axle too.
White Axle is so cool.
White Axle is cool, and this is just a detail for you folks at home. When you choose White Axle, it's not just a recolor. They also updated his texture on his face. Axel doesn't have a scar when you play as White Axle, which is that's a neat little detail. I don't know if that's foreshadowing of some kind, but it's kind of cool.
We've had plenty of time to speculate.
We have had plenty of time to speculate. It's interesting. He gains all of Lumine's facial textures, or not his facial textures, but he gets the same eye color and and his scar heals on top of taking on Lumine's color scheme. So
interesting.
I wonder what that means. I guess we'll find out soon. Hopefully.
But no, X8 Ultimate Armor looks really, really good.
Yeah.
I'm so glad it was included. I was very sad that there was no Ultimate Armor in X7. I thought it was just gone, and then I saw this and like, you did it. You're back.
They brought it back. They remembered what makes Mega Man fun. You know, the fun idea of being totally overpowered. And I like that. I also like that all three characters get a quote-unquote Ultimate Armor. I think that's a nice little touch.
Mm-hmm. Wish the Navigator's dead, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's fine if the Navigators don't, because it's already like a plus just being able to play as them. And they're supposed to be... I think they're supposed to be like a challenge mode anyway, because they're the same as X-Zero and Axel when you first begin the game and have no upgrades, and you can't upgrade them.
Yeah, it just...
So...
I mean, still...
I know, it would be cool to see armors for all those characters.
I like my redesigns. I like my having more toys to play with. Maybe an X8 too. They'll do that.
In X8 2. You know what? If Mega Man X8 was so good, how come there's no Mega Man X8 2? And I can't even joke about that because there's a Final Fantasy X2, so...
There you go.
Yes, I know it's 10. Don't type down in the comments. I was making a joke. Yeah, man, I don't know.
Submit your angry comment first, because that boosts the rating of the video somehow.
It's true. That does actually help the algorithm. So go ahead and type out whatever you want about me. It helps the video. I don't care. Yeah, this is probably the best recolor out of the two. I think it's nice that they brought back the yellow accents from the default neutral armor. I think that's nice. It's cool. And I'm excited to see what X9 has in store. I'm okay with X's armors not being so Gundamish like they have been in the past. I kind of like this new art direction for X8 if they do like an X9 and want to give him less flashy armors and more interesting armors. I'd be okay with that. So I don't know, that's something to look forward to. Hopefully X9. I mean, it's also cool that they return to tradition with, you know, Gundam-esque armors. I'm fine with that. But I think that there's a lot of potential to be explored that I hope they do at some point, you know?
Yep. We'll see soon. Probably. Maybe.
We'll see soon, probably. One last thing. I just wanted to mention, I know we always talk about how much we love when X's forehead gem gets enlarged. I know we loved that about the X8 design. I just want to point out, X's entire forehead is now his gem, if you look at it.
Yeah, they, it's like when they were toying around with the Glide armor, just having that little tease of the gem and the mohawk, they took it to the extreme, and it's really, really nice.
It's kind of cool. Like, he's got like a big shiny chrome dome, but it's also glowing. Like, if you look in some of the art, if you look in the art, you can see the whole thing is like transparent, and right where his forehead gem should be, there's this nice light that's kind of like glowing out of the forehead, and that's super cool. I think that's a nice detail. It's neat that they did that. It's a good idea. Good on you. Clapcom for Capcom.
Clapcom for Capcom. Get that trending somewhere.
Somehow. I mean, it's not that catchy, I have to admit, but I'm going to say it anyway because I thought it was clever. It's more clever than it is catchy.
Yeah. But, viewers at home, which version of the neutral armor is your favorite? And if you're like me and it's by far the ultimate armor, take that one out of the equation.
Get out of here. We don't want to hear if you like the ultimate armor.
I mean, I want to hear, but out of the other three options.
Out of the neutral, Icarus, and Hermes, which colors are your favorite? Do you have a favorite if you combine the colors? Like, which parts? Because I like mixing and matching and giving him red and blue armor in different amounts. I think that's kind of cool. I also just like the neutral armor colors. So, you know, let us know down in the comments which is your favorite. Do you have a favorite combination? Do you have a favorite all one color? Do you have a favorite, you know, mix and match color? Let us know what it is. And we'll be happy to go check it out. Also, leave your angry comments about what I said earlier. I forgot what it was already.
It was about Final Fantasy X being Final Fantasy X.
Oh, that's right. Okay, yeah. Leave your angry comments about Final Fantasy X2 down below.
That's the one with the Final Fantasy X hunters, right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. The one with
Zero
fake
comes back.
Yes, exactly. Perfect.
Alright, we'll see you next time.
Take it easy, everybody.